Rev up your engines!
Well, China controls a lot of minerals, and they put a shot over the U.S. bow, saying that we're going to limit your capability of getting this stuff from us. China this week decided they're going to restrict 2 minerals that are needed for military stuff, electric batteries, and the main ones are gallium, missile stuff, defense stuff, electric car batteries, right? Chinese control a lot of the stuff, and they're saying, you can't get us from us now. You know, all these people are whining about China. We got this kind of paper war going on between the United States and China. We owe them billions for the treasury bonds and stuff that the Chinese invested in. We got it going again. The talking heads, blah, 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 blah. Follow the real money, though. The real money is there's business. It's going to go on as usual. They can harumph at each other, blow their horns, and rattle their sabers, but nothing's going to become of it because both sides are so intertwined economically that neither side wants the other one to go kaput. We're one of the biggest markets for China, right? And they talk about, well, now there's all these Chinese and they're buying a bunch of cars and stuff, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but there's still like 1.5 billion really poor Chinese people, too. The rich Chinese are making their living on their backs, right? Do you really think they want to rattle and start an economic war? Of course they don't. There's business involved, and they put on the show for the rest of the world. Oh, look, it's bad. These horrible things are happening. La, 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 la. But in reality, it's just that both sides are getting strings to pull to cut more business deals. I guarantee you. There's no war or anything's going to happen. It's just a bunch of saber rattling. So behind the scenes, as I say, follow the money. They'll be cutting deals like no tomorrow. I can guarantee you that. Follow the money, don't follow the talk. The talk is to fool you, to make you think, oh, this is horrible. When in reality, it's just business guys in the back room cutting deals. Gleesy Baby says, Scotty, my '02 Lexus GS300 Catalytic converter is making a large rattling noise. Any cheap fix? Yeah, move to Tennessee and take it off. They don't do inspections there. Right? Now, the problem is, here's how a catalytic converter works. It burns onboard hydrocarbons. If you ever look at a new one, go to an auto parts store, say you want to look at a cat, get a flashlight, and you'll see there's a bunch of honeycombs inside, right? Well, the hot air goes through there, and it gets rid of the onburned hydrocarbons by a catalytic reaction, hence they're called catalytic converters, right? The outer shell is metal. The inside is more like ceramic teacups, right? And what happens is they break, and then the ceramic starts rattling around inside, right? The only cheap fix is to get rid of it, right? Get another one. And they're not cheap. You got a Lexus that's got at least 2 catalytic converters on it. They're not cheap, right? So, I mean, you either got a choice of buying another one or live with the rattling. Now, if it rattles but it runs okay, when they do go bad, eventually, if they're really broken, they'll rattle and then they'll break off sideways. And then instead of flowing through the holes, they're going against the side of the holes. Your car will start to run hotter. The temperature gauge, you won't be able to go over like 40, 50 miles an hour because it can't breathe out. Then you'll have to do something about it then. Ken Walters says, Scott, I need cats for an '06 Porsche Cayenne. Where's the best place to get them that won't cost $1 million? Oh, yeah, the cost of I think it was going to be like, I don't know, $12,000 for 2 of them. Whoa, you bought the wrong car, baby. Now, I mean, look around. The only problem is those are expensive cars. Replacement parts are going to cost a small fortune. That's just how it goes. Catalytic converters are catalytic converters. They burn onburn hydrocarbons, right? If you don't care about the look or the sound, and you can find any muffler shop, they could cut your old ones off, and they could weld on anything that fit. And pipes are just certain diameters. They get the right diameter, they maybe get an adapter, weld it all up, and away you go, right? You can have that done. If you can find a guy that'll do that. There are 1 million catalytic converters. They all work the same way. They just burn unburned hydrocarbons. As long as somebody can get them on and weld them on, welders can do anything. Oscar Manchester said, Scotty, could you put an alternator in a hybrid if your big battery is bad? It would be very hard to do. I've seen people do it and they all fail. The problem is your car doesn't have an alternator on it. It has a generator motor. The motor is used to run the car, and when it works backwards, it's a generator. And it is what charges your little battery, right? So it's a completely different system. And your whole car works off of your little battery, operating the hybrid system and allowing all the electrical sensors to work. Even though you do have a hundreds of volt hybrid battery, the 12-volt battery starts everything up. Even electric cars are that way. Even electric cars, they have huge, giant batteries. But they also have a little car battery that starts it up because it's too dangerous with 400, 600 volts. So the little battery checks everything. The computer then goes through all relays and all kinds of transformers motors and inverters, and then it finally lets the big battery run the car. So the main question is you really couldn't do it. You know, I mean, if you really wanted to rig it, you could probably get it to run, and then you would run only on the gasoline engine, but you'd have to rewire everything because the car wasn't made to run that way in the first place. It would be a real pain in the wazoo. Henry Rothman says, Scotty, do I have to get in alignment after installing a new set of tires? Well, that depends. Is your car in alignment now? If it's in alignment now, no, you do not need to get it realigned, right? But let's say you got your old tires. You see they're all worn weird. Then when you get the new tires, get it aligned because they're probably worn weird because you're out of alignment, right? But on the other hand, you're driving on the road, everything's fine. You hit the brakes, everything's fine. It handles fine on the highway, but you're buying new tires, you probably don't need an alignment. Right? You know, every time you buy tires, they try to sell you stuff. Well, you got to buy the $15, $20 per tire insurance in case the tire goes bad. It's like, you bought a new tire, isn't that insurance? Not anymore. My father's day, it was. We got flat tires, we sold to customers, we'd fix them or replace them free, right? Today, you got to pay extra for insurance, right? And every time you go in to buy tires, they want to sell you a four-wheel alignment, blah, blah, blah. They want to sell you stuff. It's a sales world. So if you didn't need it in the first place, no. But if your tires are all worn funky, you better get an alignment. And you better get the front end checked too. Maybe you got bad ball joints, tie rods, tires wear out for lots of reasons, bad struts. So if your tires wore bizarrely, you want the front end checked and aligned if there's any kind of a problem. But if your tires just wore out and they didn't wear out all one side, not the other, they wore evenly, you really don't need an alignment. Tony Ross says, Scotty, I have a VW 05 Jetta. The speedometer reads 5 kilometers slower than it's going. Is that bad? Who cares? Right? I mean, when you sell it, it's going to show less mileage than you actually drove it. I mean, just remember, hey, when you're driving, so the cops don't give you a ticket, right? But it doesn't really matter. And today, you can really tell very easily because we all got smartphones, right? So you go on Google Maps and you're driving in a city, right? It'll show you what the speed limit is and it'll show you what speed you're going. See what speed you're going and look at the speedometer. You'll know exactly how far off. None of them are perfect. My Matrix is like 2 miles below and the Lexus is about 2 miles above. And I just remember that when I'm driving, so I'll know exactly what speed I'm going. And most of the time, nobody gives. Cops usually don't give a crap if you're going 5 miles over the limit. They don't care. So if it's within that, nobody really cares. Barbara Ann says, is there a way to check your tie rods and ball joints needed replaced without removing the tire? I went to an alignment. They said, I need all that done. Another mechanic said nothing was bad. Okay. No, you don't have to take the tire off. What you do is you jack the car up in the air. It has to be up in the air. Then if you grab the tire at 9 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. If you pull it, it goes clunker, clunker. That's usually a tie rod. But if you pull it at 12 o'clock and 6 and it goes clunker, clunker, that's usually a ball joint. You don't have to take the tire off. You physically check it like that. And the ball joints themselves, sometimes they won't clunk, but they're worn. Ball joints are harder to test. You have to load test them, use a pry bar. Oh, mechanics know how to do that, right? They can jack it off for you. But you don't have to take the tire off. You can do it with the tire on, but you do have to jack it up in the air. Ely Ferris said, Scotty, could a bad PCV valve cause a ticking noise for a few minutes after cold startup? How can you tell if it's bad? Sounds like lifter noise, but the Kia Rio only has 17,000 miles on it. They really don't cause ticking noises. They'll hoot, or they'll suck air, but they generally don't tick. Let's say you've got a weird one, and somehow it's making a ticking noise. Very easy to tell. Go to any auto parts store, say, show me where the PCV valve is, and they'll show you where it is. They can sell you a mechanic stethoscope with a long tube, right? Maybe 10, 15 bucks. Take it home. And then in the morning, open the hood, stick that stethoscope on that PCV valve. Somebody starts it. If it's ticking, that's what it is. If it isn't, it's your engine. And it's a Kia. They make junk. Wouldn't surprise you if the engine's ticking at 17,000 miles. I've seen those things tick at 5,000 miles. Kia does not make good engines. They just don't. They spend a lot of money advertising, saying, we're better than we used to be, blah, 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 but it's not true. They still make crap. I see Kia engines blowing all the time. I got a friend who works at a Kia dealership. You know what he told me? He says, Scotty, we spend more time every month. We do scores of engines replacements because these stupid things are always breaking. He doesn't care. He's a mechanic. He's paid to fix them. You know? He's not going to tell the general public, but he tells me because he knows I'm a mechanic, and we all laugh about the junk that we have to work on sometimes. It says, why are my AC compressor and condenser fans both not working? I got a 99 Chevy. When I turn on the AC compressor, it only blows warm air. The condenser fans don't turn on. You turn it on, you don't have the fan spinning, and you don't get cold air. First, you said your compressor spins, but it spun slowly. Well, your compressor's wearing out there. Flat and simple, you're probably going to need a new compressor. Because if you are out of refrigerant, the compressor end won't spin, because when you're low on refrigerant, the switch turns the power off, the compressor doesn't get electricity, and the clutch won't engage, so it won't spin at all. In your case, you say it's spinning slowly. That means the compressor itself is worn out. Now, if it's not working, the fans won't come on either, because the fans work by pressure and temperature, and you're not getting either pressure or temperature because the compressor doesn't work anymore. Odds are you're going to need a new compressor. There could be other problems, because of course, if you get a blockage in the system, that will ruin the compressor. You put a new compressor on, there's still blockage, it's not going to work. You really got to analyze the whole system with a professional mechanic, but at a minimum, you're going to need at least a compressor. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.